vaccine which prevents all forms of cancer. This truly is a historical night. Excitement is building.
As soon as Father Andrews makes his move, I'll give you the word.
And I'll shut the lobby, front, back, and sides.
Drama here tonight that goes beyond any.
Would you mind not doing that?
Why? At any presidential, inaugural, or
you.
royal coronation. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the Supreme Commander.
Then the third one that will finally bring about purification of this land in this continent would be a man with red cap, red hat, or red throat.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good evening to all of you. It gives us visitors great pleasure to be here this evening at these ceremonies because it gives us an opportunity to repay the wonderful hospitality the people of Earth have shown us ever since we arrived here. You've all done everything you can to help us collect the resources we need to save the people of our planet. It seems only fair that we reciprocate.
We've got a fire in Bay 6. Get an extinguisher over here. That's it, right here, right here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to announce that beginning tomorrow, doors will be opened at this hospital, and within weeks at hospitals around the world.
Get the laser torch and more troops!
Keep taking this. All right, pretty face, grab some air.
Everybody freeze!
The visitors are not our friends. They've come to rape our planet and kill us. They are not who they appear to be. This is not science fiction. This is what they are. It's just a trick.
Stop that transmission! Stop this transmission!
I don't understand. There's something wrong.
All right. Yeah.
Say would rise to 105% of GDP over the next 10 years. Say would rise to 105% of GDP over the next 10 years.
The reason I got shot to pieces and 11 attempts on my life is I am a direct threat. The New World Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7 eighths of the world's population by the year 2029. Take the remaining human subjects as slaves, and the aliens would use this planet for their own means. The U.S. military has known about this for 45 5 years. They've told no one. The large alien grays had been encamped there for about 400 or 500 years. We drilled holes right on top of it. I was lower down the basket of one of these holes, was sitting a 7-foot-tall alien gray. I reached for my pistol. I killed 2 of them. One of them did this. He just kind of waved his hand in front of his chest, and the next thing I know, this blue beam hit me and just literally opened me up like a fish. Burnt my fingers right off of me, kind of like being hit by a lightning bolt. Burned all my toenails off of me. And there was a Green Beret. He shoved me back in the basket and hit the button and took me up. I wouldn't be alive talking to you today. They get high off of our adrenal gland, called adrenochrome.
Dr. Rima Labo, the physician, fled the United States in fear of the Bilderbergs' plan to use vaccines to kill off much of the world's population.
The World Health Organization has decided that we have 90% too many people. The World Health Organization has been working since 1974 on vaccines to create permanent sterility.
How can you say this stuff?
I show them the documentation. They will induce a pandemic. Then the United States government will say, oh my goodness, we don't have enough doses, so we'll admix squalene. What that means is a Holocaust, a genocidal Holocaust. Men and women will sicken and die, and those who survive will be infertile.
If people refuse these vaccinations, that FEMA's going to put them into almost like concentration camps? How can you say this stuff?
Let me tell you a story. In 2003, I had a patient who was a head of state. One day, she said, you know, it's almost time for the great culling.
Doctor, we're talking extinguishing 90% of the world's population.
Up to 80% of the population gone by 2025? Damn. Military intelligence website Deagle.com has recently indicated that an 80% population reduction is in effect over the next 2 years, and the G7 countries are near the top of the list. This, of course, is highly disturbing, and I regret to say, slightly more accurate than I'd like to admit. The G7 countries and their population reductions are the UK at 78.5%, USA at 70.2%, Germany at 65%, France at 48.1%, Italy at 30.6%, Canada at 29.7%, and Japan at 17.6%. They go on to state, it is advised that people temporarily distance themselves from the UK, USA, and Germany. These governments are planning the utter destruction of their own populations, and most are complying. It's almost like a suicide cult. This is what happens when a massive war is waged upon the people and they don't even know it. This is what happens when you honor fake authorities rather than your own temple. This is what happens when you trust pharmaceutical companies before you trust nature.
It was 10 years ago, just after the government instituted the whole isolation policy. We began hearing reports of a mass epidemic, some unknown disease sweeping the country. The details were vague at first, nothing on the cause or transmission of the disease, only that it was highly contagious, and in most cases, fatal. Before the general public even had time to react, the government declared a state of emergency and ordered a mandatory vaccination program. For our protection, they said. As it turns out, that was the beginning of our nightmare. The disease was a complete government fabrication, and the supposed vaccine they were injecting into everyone? In reality, it was a cyber virus developed by Daiwa. The virus has a mutating effect on the cells of the body. It alters their molecular structure and converts them into biometal, essentially turning us into machines from the inside out.
Check this out, family. The United States Air Force just came out with a new logo. Y'all peep game? Y'all peep game? It's a UFO. It's a UFO. I'm about to break this whole thing down, too. This is how they're going to start the new world order, the one world government.
We often forget how much unites all the members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet I ask you, Is not an alien force already among us? What could be more alien to the universal aspirations of our peoples than war and the threat of war?
We know now we live in an ever-expanding universe. We know that there are billions of stars and planets literally out there, and the universe is getting bigger. We know from our fancy telescopes that just in the last 2 years, more than 20 planets have been identified outside our solar system that seem to be far enough away from their suns and dense enough that they might be able to support some form of life. So it makes it increasingly less likely that we're alone.
Oh, you're trying to give me a hint that there are aliens.
No, I'm trying to tell you I don't know. But if we were visited someday, I wouldn't be surprised. I just hope that it's not like Independence Day, that it's a conflict.
Well, now we have friendly
Maybe the only way to unite this incredibly divided world of ours. They're out there. We better think of how all the differences among people on Earth would seem small if we felt threatened by a space invader. That's the whole theory of independence.
You're right.
You know, that was the message of that movie Independence Day with Will Smith, and was, well, we're fighting each other all the time, but if all of a sudden space aliens attack us, the Russians and the Americans love each other. The Chinese can't wait to chip in. I mean, we're all, they're swinging the same bat. We shouldn't need that kind of external threat to do what is self-evidently right for the world.
It's very hard to get inflation in a depressed economy, but if you had a program of government spending plus an expansionary policy by the Fed, you could get that. So if you think about using all of these things together, you could accomplish, a great deal. I mean, if we discovered that space aliens were planning to attack, and we needed a massive buildup to counter the space alien threat, and really inflation and budget deficits took secondary place to that, this slump would be over in 18 months. And then if we discovered, whoops, we made a mistake, there aren't actually any space aliens.
So we need Orson Welles, is what you're saying.
No, there was a Twilight Zone episode like this in which scientists fake an alien threat in order to achieve world peace. Well, this time we don't need it. We need it in order to get some fiscal stimulus.
One of these plans for Project Bluebeam is to stage an elaborate worldwide faked alien invasion with UFOs that will be seen in the sky. These will either be made on this planet with secret technology driven by craft operated by black budgets and military, or advanced holographic imagery.
You people out there have been ignoring the UFO phenomenon for too long. It has all the earmarks of the most successful, most sophisticated mind control operation in the history of the world, and you are ignoring it. What better way to implement a plan to bring about a one-world government than to create the possibility in the minds of the people of the world that we are being threatened from some other species, from some other planet, and do it in a way that if anybody questions it or challenged it or wants to talk about it publicly, that they are ridiculed.
And the ultimate goal is to make the Earth look very small, to present the people of the world with an external threat to this Earth, a superior race from some other planet, vastly superior to us in intellect, philosophy, and technology, in order to cause the dissolution of nation-states, the dissolution of all existing religions, and the formation of the world totalitarian socialist government.
My name is Carol Rosen. I'm an educator who became the first woman corporate manager of an aerospace company, Fairchild Industries. I met the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in early '74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over, during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens. And all of it, he said, is a lie.
Yes, indeed we can. And we already have. And for quite some time. That is allegedly what Admiral Richard Byrd went down to Antarctica for originally. There was an alleged report of numerous German bases with experimental aircraft being reported in Antarctica. Byrd's squadron of warships, including an aircraft carrier, was met with heavy resistance and was essentially outgunned in every turn. And they were forced to limp back to safe harbor. An interesting note about what UFOs actually are is I find it strange that the last 50 years you have these flying disc-shaped objects. And then in recent times, as our technology seems to match with it, you now don't really see these anymore. You see orbs or things like that more than anything else. Perhaps they're not visitors from another planet. Question everything.
Extraterrestrial beings. Oh, yeah, that's the next threat. That's what the system's going to tell you. This is not a joke, though. The Air Force simulated an alien attack. That's the IDF Air Force, right? And this is specifically referring to the OFEC technology unit in the IDF, simulated a scenario of an alien attack on the IDF's cyber systems. The soldiers tried to gather intelligence on the spacecrafts in order to progress in their mission, Air Force officials said. Prepare the world for a fake alien invasion. 100% fake, okay? And obviously this fake alien invasion will be made possible with the advanced hologram technology that, well, the public doesn't know about. The secret breakaway civilization that many of us call the New World Order has technology that we can't even fathom, okay? Way beyond what we have, what we see here in the public eye, and I'll delve into that a little bit toward the latter half of this video. There's many reasons why they would do this. They want to bring about their one world government, their one world religion. They want to trick everybody into worshiping and looking up to these false idols, these fake aliens, or whatever you want to call them. And they're just going to tell you what to do because they're going to be portrayed as more wise and more smart and technologically advanced and evolved. Now, as I already mentioned, much of my research goes on to suggest that Israel will play a major role in this propaganda, this fake alien propaganda. They're going to be portrayed as sort of these religious figures as well. That's why Israel is going to play a huge role in this. Like an Antichrist type figure may be involved as well. Jerusalem's going to be involved, you know, the Mecca, the Holy Land, all that stuff, okay? They're going to connect it all. That's why you see ancient aliens all over the TV telling you that, the gods were actually aliens, you know, and that Jesus was an alien and stuff. It's propaganda.
Okay, y'all, now look at this shit. Men in Black.
I love you, be safe.
Men in Black. Men in Black. Men in Black again, all night long, right? Let's go down to HBO. Let's see what HBO is showing. War of the Worlds, Edge of Tomorrow. Let's see what other alien shit's on right now, because they're getting... Oh, more War of the Worlds, same thing. Species! Oh, look! Suddenly, Species 1 and 2 are going to be on, and Species 3. All the fucking alien movies are all on. Why? Because they're going to push this shit. Be ready, the more you know.
It's coming, folks. They're going to use this. It's called Project Bluebeam. If you're interested in more information on that, you can just look it up. Project Bluebeam. And that's some of the technology they intend to use to fake this alien invasion. As many of you may remember, back in 2012, Tupac performed at Coachella. Yeah, right? Oh, didn't he die like dozens of years before that? Yes, he did. But he was rolled out as a hologram. And people, it looked pretty real. Okay? Same thing with Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson in 2014.
Now the grand finale. This is some scary shit. In March 1997, an event known as the Phoenix Lights became the most infamous UFO sighting in history. A mile-wide vessel, clearly not man-made, flew slowly and silently over the state of Arizona and was witnessed by 10,000 people, including the governor of Arizona. To date, there has been no reasonable explanation. But for every witness interviewed, the craft was as real as anything they'd ever seen. Their lives were transformed. They now believe that we truly are not alone. However, there is another truth, for I know what they really saw. In 1986, while stationed at an underground installation near Boulder, Colorado, I was introduced to Project Skybeam by Lieutenant General Andrew Garris. I was then led down a corridor and into a large hangar where a stealth bomber hovered only 20 feet above me. I stood there confused, and Garris looked over at me and smiled, then asked if I was certain of what I was seeing. I replied, of course. What else could it be? I was then shocked to find out that this wasn't a real craft. It was a projected hologram. Since the early 1950s, scientists have been developing holographic technology, and over the years improved it to a state that we can only imagine. As I stood there staring at the bomber, which looked so absolutely real and solid that I could reach up and touch it, I contemplated the possibilities. What if this projection was 1,000 feet up in the sky? How would anyone know that that was an illusion? The Phoenix Lights craft, witnessed by 10,000 people, was the first grand-scale skybeam test upon the public. It succeeded beyond expectations. In October 1938, Orson Welles unleashed his War of the Worlds radio broadcast to the American public. It was so realistically portrayed, vast portions of the population went into panic. Terrified citizens scrambled to evacuate their cities in droves. America had been easily tricked by very simple means. To amplify this response, those who are truly in power of not only our country, but all the countries on the planet, and who are the true purveyors of the depopulation process, have formulated the final stage of their sinister plan. In the year 2024, a global event will alter the course of mankind's future. The world will stand witness to a massive alien invasion. Thousands of projected holographic alien warships will blanket the skies, sending people into a global panic. Real military crafts within the holograms will inflict actual damage to the surrounding areas to sell the gimmick. And as a result of the ensuing human chaos, a one-world government will immediately form without any resistance from the people. They will be the new world order. Once this happens, we as a people will be doomed to enslavement and accelerated depopulation. With that said, the only hope for human salvation is to acquire and spread the knowledge of these activities and agendas. Resist, retaliate, and conquer this opposing enemy. The time is now, as humanity is rapidly approaching.
He was speaking about what many people referred to as Operation Bluebeam.
There's an operation called the Phoenix Light Project. Tens of thousands of people were witness to a craft about a mile long, a mile in the sky. People saw it. This is a hologram. You're looking at a hologram. It's so real, you feel you could reach out and touch it. Over 10,000 witnesses saw that. They believe they saw an aircraft. The ETs are coming. Now imagine tomorrow, you're going to see thousands of aircraft. Not as big, smaller, but aircrafts coming in, flying all over the United States, Europe, whatever it is. And then you're going to be attacked. But those attacks will happen with real missiles, or real planes, you understand? They're going to say my government is right, they want to protect me. You declare an emergency. You declare one world government. Nobody will resist. People will say thank you. And that's how you take over.
Wow.
They have the technology. They can do this tomorrow morning.
Let me ask you this one then. What do you think about all this, the Pentagon saying that there's crafts that are coming from another world?
That's a New World Order.
What do you think that is, though?
Getting people to believe in the fake alien invasion.
So what do you think those things are these people keep saying?
It's probably, who knows? the Nazis were scaring their people with UFOs. They made UFOs, and they were scaring people. It's like look at the timeline.
The Nazis were trying to develop some kind of an actual flying saucer,
and
right?
they were scaring their people, and they were using look, we're going to save you. Look, UFOs. They were scaring them. The government's going to save you from the UFOs, right? So 1946, World War II's over. 1946-47, Operation Paperclip. That's when we took a bunch of Nazis, and Russia took a bunch of Nazis, and so 1947, Roswell. Right there. Roswell was the beginning of the UFO craze. Right after Roswell, all these comic books, Mars Attacks, in the 50s, all these shitty-ass space movies and alien movies. There was Star Trek came, but...
Notice their synchronicity. That's because they are not real. In fact, nothing in this video is real. It's Blue Beam Project test to facilitate future fake alien extraterrestrial UFO invasion. Unsuspected crowd is stunned when creatures started to appear out of the water. Not only they can see and hear them, now they can feel and interact with them. That's right, new Blue Beam technology allows not only to see and hear the holograms, but actually feel them. It is possible by manipulating the density of air and water molecules. New alien technology allows scientists to slightly increase the distance in hydrogen atom core protons and orbiting electrons. The change is less than 1,000%, yet it does feel like you are touching the real thing. Look how happy and amazed adults and children. They actually interacting with non-existing sea lions, bears and even...
crazy, guys. Look at her eyes. Watch this. She's possessed.
Is getting rid of...
What was that? Rewind it. Right there. What was that?
Say it would rise to 105% of GDP over the next 10 years.
America, take a good look at your beloved candidates. They're nothing but hideous space reptiles. It's true. We are aliens. But what are you going to do about it? It's a two-party system. You have to vote for one of us.
Right, this is a two-party system. Well, I believe I'll vote for a third-party candidate.
Go ahead. Throw your vote away.